All right, good afternoon. Good afternoon. I hope you're doing well on another Fun Fact Friday. Hi, Danette. How are you?
I'm well, in yourself.
Fantastic. Andrew?
Doing great, great. Yeah, it's a little you know, I'm sure wind this is recent, but today is like a little overcast, but it's a nice day to like be inside and easy to focus on your work and your admin stuff. So yeah, taking advantage of it.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, today, everyone, we're super excited. We have Danette Jeffers with us. Danette is one of our newer agents in our company, but she is not new to real estate. So she's been around for a while. And Danette just brings a ton of energy and is very positive. And whether I see her in person in our Denver office or on our Zoom call, she's always smiling. So Danette, welcome.
Thank you.
So Danette, tell us a little bit about kind of how long you've been in real estate, what got you into it, and we'll kind of just go from there.
So let's see. I actually passed my exams in 2020. My husband and I used to renovate homes.
Oh,
And what started happening was people were asking Danette, why don't you have a license? And I go, I don't know. And so I got the license in 2020. And the deal is I really enjoy looking at all the various things going on in the homes, the designs, the decor, the unique things people do in and with the houses. And I enjoy helping people. So it works for me.
nice, nice. I have always said that we're in the people business. We're not in the house business,
Exactly.
too. Okay, so what are some things that you've been in since 2020? So you came in through the pandemic. So you were
Yes.
right. So now we're post-pandemic, right? And we've got a couple of things that have happened. We had the NAR DOJ, verdict come down. So we've had a
Correct.
shift in our business, which really, quite honestly, I think for anybody who knows us or follows Andrew and I, it's really not been a shift. I mean, we kind of always operated that way, but there has been a fundamental shift in how we kind of engage with our buyers. And now we're at a place where through the pandemic, with the interest rates being so super low, now where they sit today, there's definitely a gap today, right? So it's a
Correct.
different type of consultative sale, if you will. What are you finding that's maybe different from 2020 versus today?
So the biggest thing is, yes, the interest rates, but also everything else is risen. And so insurance is a big complaint, and people just don't like it. And when the economy is going up and down and kind of here and there, they're a little apprehensive, or a little more apprehensive, I'm going to say. So that's the biggest difference.
Okay. Okay. Now, Andrew, you and your wife just bought your first house. So, and you're in the business. So your perspective would be interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think for us, we were very fortunate, to find a good deal in a neighborhood we liked, and worked very closely with one of my most trusted lending partners, Fabiana Beccarelli there at Canvas Credit Union. So we were able to get a really good, experience and rate there. But, the situation for us made sense, right? Like our family is growing, and we knew that we were going to be here in the Denver metro area for the, you know, long haul. And so we didn't have the same apprehension of like, oh man, if I have to sell this house in 2 or 3 years, am I going to be able to recoup my investment as well as pay, a listing agent or what have you, right? So we knew that we're going to be in our house for, I mean, short of me dying or winning the lottery in the next 100 years, right? So it's, we're in pretty good shape there. So we have the benefit of that longer term approach to investment. And again, and I think it'd be interesting to hear from you, Danette, like the kind of like remodel flipper mindset, because my personal, investment strategy as well as my typically work with clients, it's a little more buy and hold long term approach, where for my clients, a lot of the difference maker is not necessarily can I get this thing for a wholesale price, put, 10% into it and then get, a 30% return? It's more like, hey, can I cash flow 500 to $1,000 a month when I'm factoring in my mortgage, my insurance, and my HOA if that applies, and still come out ahead, right? So, and basically have this person, a little bit of a side hustle, and this person's paying off your mortgage. So it's not sexy till you have 50 of them, but it's still going to be a long-term good investment. So I'd be interested to hear that strategy, because I haven't employed that as much myself. It's more been a long-term buy and hold scenario for me.
Mhm.
So the investors that I've worked with thus far and those I'm currently working with, the big thing is, yes, can I get a return on my investment? That's the first thing. The past ones, they've held on, they've had these homes for, longer than say 10 years. And now with the rental regulations changing, those that are outside of Colorado, they're like, never mind. I'd rather do something different, in a different locale. Um, the ones currently, in terms of the flip and fix, they basically want to get in low, fix it up and make a profit. You know, that profit range is changing, because before now, you know, if they could make say 75, they were okay. Now they want to make in excess of 100 plus. And so one of the big things I've run into lately is the wholesalers. If they get to them first, a lot of investors don't care to work with them, because you have a title change that can be cumbersome, okay? And they're like, I don't want to be bothered with that. So preferably, they prefer us, the realtors, to have the product or have the house off market if they can. If it's on market and they can, you know, get in there and bid on it, they're okay with that. But that's some of the dynamics that they use, that I've seen to look at the investment properties.
Yeah, I'd always remember that if they could pick it up at somewhere around 70%, you know, for the after repair value, there's not really a scenario they're going to get hurt, which kind of falls in that 25% range, right? But now I see your point, of things are costing more, labor's a little bit
Yep.
more, right? And
Yep.
then the things we have to do today from a code perspective. You know, it's interesting though, we hear a lot in the Denver market about maybe affordability, or we hear a lot about whether it's an investor or whether it's an actual owner occupant. But my wife and I have a search set up in a couple different areas. One's in that kind of that South Broadway, close to Littleton, Englewood. We've got another one on that Denver Aurora border, and we're always looking right in there, right? And it's amazing to me that there really are some affordable properties there that people can step into it in the threes and sometimes the low threes, right? Yeah, they need a little bit of work. They're not move-in ready. I understand all that. And they're not right downtown. They're not Wash Park. And I get all that. But still, the act of home ownership, you know, the best time to buy, right, was 5 years ago. The next best day to buy is today. so,
Correct.
so I think that that's one piece of it. The second piece of it is that on the return side, I also am hearing that it's taking longer to do the actual flip based on various getting permits pulled, getting inspections done versus 5 years ago, let's call it 10 years ago, you can get in and get out at 90-day range. And today that's a challenge to do that today.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a huge part of it, you know,
Yeah.
like, and, you know, you know, smart people can disagree or agree on the level of regulation that's, you know, should be imposed upon building new homes, right? But whether it's like flipping a renovation or adding new product, when we definitely need to find ways as realtors where we can help our clients streamline that process, right? So if your clients are looking to acquire land and then, you know, build a custom home or build a duplex or build 500 homes, who cares, right? Like understand, you know, getting in front of that process, helping them get plugged into the right channels, you know, vis-a-vis, you know, permit pulling and the right people at the city and state and county level that can do their rezoning and split the lots and, you know, getting them streamlined, because that's until that last house sells, they got money floating out there that they're not seeing any return on, right? So, and obviously from like a general greater good perspective, you know, the more product in the market, the more attainable homeownership is going to be for, you know, all people from Colorado, right? So I think that's one thing we should all work towards, making as efficient as possible. And again, without getting the weeds on, are these regulations and laws right or whatever, but they don't pay me not to write laws, right? They pay me to handle them. So, and I do agree with you with the rental side of things. It's being a landlord in Colorado is a unique experience now, right? So I am one. I know you are one. Michael's been one. We have several agents on our team that are,
Yeah.
and just, you know, trying to always make sure you're in alignment. And I think that the large the people who have like dug in and kind of figured out the licensure process and following all the new lease guidelines, are doing fine. Like lease rates have kind of, stayed relatively flat over the last couple of years, while home prices have increased. So we'll see, but I agree, those out-of-state buyers, unless they're willing to hire a management company or really dig in and learn a fairly complex set of rules and regulations, they're in an interesting decision point.
Yeah, I totally agree. So Danette, do you have a and I understand we all run the Front Range, I get that, but do you have this kind of a specific area or target market that you spend most of your time?
So thus far, it seems like it's the Golden area or the Aurora area.
Two extremes.
Very extreme. The Golden area, I don't live far from Golden. I'm in Lakewood actually. And so it's just, kind of hop, skip away. That area has been good to me. And then the Aurora, Denver area, just because over the years I've had acquaintances that live in that area and they know people and, they'll say, hey, can you help them out? That kind of thing. So those are the two extremes. I frankly, I like going to areas that I don't frequent also always because I like seeing what's going on, what's new. What are you guys doing different that we're not, over here or over there? So yeah, it would be nice if it was around the corner, but the other part of it is I do enjoy going to all the different areas within the metro area.
Yeah, it's more about the process, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you do before real estate? What's your background?
Well, so my background for the most part has always been, I call problem solving or sales. From information technology sales to postage metering sales to I won't say commercial sales, I'll say commercial leasing and in terms of buying land to build commercial properties on. And I am a veteran as well.
Oh,
And
thank you.
but believe it or not, I placed a lot of your Department of Defense employees in housing, both in the United States and
Oh,
outside of the United States, when I was in the military. So again, I've been, kind of in this same, I guess you would say, realm for most of my life.
that's amazing.
Yeah, well, and I'd love to hear too, because I know you have a really big heart and really passion for charitable work, and I'd love to hear a little about that, like the organizations that you like to be a part of and like to support, because that's a really big thing that we love here at Strategic is making sure we're giving back to our community and really being members of it, not just servicers to it. So, yeah, I'd love to hear a little about that.
So I have two that I'm very passionate about. One is the kids, the other is seniors. I teach high school on occasion through Rocky Mountain Junior Achievement, and I have for, since about 2007 or 8. Originally, when I started, I was limited to Jefferson County, which is where I live. They've eased up those restrictions now, and on occasion, I may be in Thornton, I may be in Denver. We started out like 6, 7 week increments. So once a week, I would go in and we would have a preset curriculum. And I really love it when the kids talk to me. They open up and they talk to me. They ask me questions that probably they won't ask their parents or their teacher. And that's okay because I'm there from my heart to theirs. There is no incentive. And I don't mind telling you, I am very fulfilled when I leave them. So the other thing is seniors. At one point in my career, I did run a home health care company. And the problem I had was I fell in love with them and then they died. And so what I did was I dissolved the company, but what I still do is I live in an older community and occasionally I have them, Danette, you know what, I had a ride, blah, blah, blah. Can you take me wherever, whatever? And I'm like, absolutely. So nowadays, I'm kind of limited to helping them with things that they just can't or don't have access to, like rides. Sometimes they may say, hey, I'm out of bread or milk. You going to King Supers or Safeway? Absolutely. What do you need? And so those kinds of things are what I really really focus on now. I do enjoy nonprofits of all kinds, and occasionally I have people call me or email me, hey, we're having something going on, next month. Can you attend? I help serve lunch. I help greet people. I do things that make my heart smile, and all of it, and it it helps the process.
I love it. Andrew, we should maybe talk with her separately about some our annual day of service and charitable stuff too.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's, I think that's definitely a point that we can make. I mean, been looking for, some like more, direct physical support that we can offer a community. So maybe there's like some yard work, or maybe the neighborhood needs some grocery shopping done or some trash taken out or something like that. We could figure out a sign up sheet and make this happen. I think that would be a really good way to give back to Lakewood. And that's a community we probably haven't served as much as we have served like downtown Denver or Boulder so far. So, yeah.
That's a
Okay.
really good point. Well, enough of business. Let's talk about some fun personal stuff. So let's talk about like your family and kind of what you guys like to do and vacations and all that good stuff.
Well, my husband and I usually, and I say usually because we haven't been in the last couple of years, but usually we scuba dive. And that is that's our kid in the candy store activity.
Okay.
We work well together, but he has his agenda, I have mine. He's a commercial builder, and so, he's working like on specific projects, and then I'm working. So we like warm water. We like the countries that basically will allow us to dive as much as we can.
Okay.
Okay. In addition to diving, one of the things we do is we work well together in the yard. We sometimes jointly do community work. We had a couple older, and they had some uh, kind of placards in the yard, and we took and repainted them and got them all spruced up for them. And that was it was really fun. So yeah, that's what we do for fun.
I love it. You got any
Yeah.
vacations planned?
Not right now, and that's just because we're both a little beat up right now, and and when I say beat up, I accidentally fell down the stairs and messed up the bone in my knee. I'm okay, but I'm working through it, and then he did the same, and so
Oh my
You
gosh.
got to get some carpet on those stairs, man. You guys get like,
Oh yeah, yeah, just we're used to
uh,
being 22, and we're not, and we forget, so we're just doing what we're doing, and right before our eyes, nope, you can't do it like that anymore. So
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very cool.
but yeah, well, so that's great to hear. And then I mean, so I know you have, again, you and your husband did like some building projects together. So is that where you first kind of found your passion for real estate? Was kind of through like the building and development, or how did that come about? And I'd love to hear about some of your, if you have a favorite build you guys did together, I'd love to hear about that. It's always fun to hear those stories.
So, I want to say probably my favorite, just to give you some history, my husband and his dad used to build custom homes over in Monument, down up in there for many years. And so he had a group of people that he knew long before me, that if they needed something or wanted something done, they'd call him, and he'd say, okay, let's work on this project. Well, I'm kind of there just watching and like, no, that doesn't look right. Nope, switch that, change that, kind of thing. I want to say our most favorite, we were over in Montbello.
Okay.
And this house was an absolute mess.
Mm.
And I promise you, when we finish this project, because the deal with these projects is that we're not just working, we put our hearts in them. And it's akin to it being our home.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we finished that project, and it was a long project and it was far away from the house, but I tell you, Saturdays, Sundays, evenings, we made it happen. So excuse me 1 second, guys.
Nice.
That was one of our favorite. We have, or I should say, there are people still in town that have at least a handful of properties that on occasion they may say, you know what, can you do this or can you do that? And, depending on what time looks like,
Mhm.
we may or may not have at it.
Fair enough. That's great. Well, yeah, I mean, is there anything that would like to just kind of leave our audience with? It can be about you, it can be about strategic, just some general, if you could leave the conversation with on a high note, how would you do it?
I guess I would say, if you're looking for a realtor that literally puts their heart into you and your project, that would be me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
That would be me.
Do you have any questions for Andrew or I while you have us?
Um, I always have questions. Um, commercial real estate, kind of share with me what avenue or what aspect of that you guys partake in.
Well, I own with some business partners commercial property down in Castle Rock. And so there is like a small residence attached to it that we keep that vacant just for just to not bother the the tenants. But
Okay,
yeah, but we rent out three large commercial grade garages to three local companies down there.
okay,
And so it's been really great to kind of get to know and by virtue of the type of property I have, it's a lot of people that are kind of tangential to our industry. Like I have a really really great water mitigation, mold mitigation person that we developed our friendship through him renting from me, and he's since moved on to a different location, but we still talk occasionally throughout the year and refer each other business. So yeah, Robert Crescenzo at 100 Water Damage, please call him, guys. He does great work if you're ever in that situation, and that's never a fun spot to be.
okay,
But yeah, so that's kind of what I've done. So it's mostly been in like kind of that you know rent and management portion rather than like development for me.
okay,
Mhm.
okay,
So we got a couple aspects to that question. So,
Mhm.
and I know that you know this, but my wife is in commercial insurance, and so she's 100% in the home building, whether it's or commercial development. It's hard to place risk. So you probably need to connect your husband and her together. Um, So we've done a number of things with our individual clients over the years for individual like scrapes, houses that would be a scrape, around Denver and whatnot. So I probably have a dozen or more of those under my belt. As a brokerage in a company in 18 years, we've done between every realtor that's ever worked with us, we've done around 200 new builds. I've been involved in mostly on the buy side.
okay,
Mhm.
Um, we have had a couple of agents that had relationships with a small builder and they sat on site, and did the Tuesday through Sunday on site, kind of thing. And then in Missouri, our Missouri location, which is a second home market, what I focus on is the mostly Coloradoans who are looking to invest in a second home, whether it's for short-term rental, long-term rental, or just a second home in general. And then
okay,
a number of them are relocating full time, as well. And one of our agents, Mark Beeler, who we've done a call with here, Mark has been in the business about 14 years. He only does commercial and land. He doesn't do any residential at all. And he is known down here, like at the Ozarks, as the premier go-to. And we
okay,
probably, I would say, on average, we probably are in the top 3 to 5 of any commercial or land company down here. We interview and do a lot of quotes and bids for a lot of commercial stuff, and we have a lot of land and commercial listings. We carry a lot of them. In fact, funny story, the building that we're in, our Missouri office, we actually manage this building. In a building
okay,
that we pay rent in, but we still manage it. But yeah, so from a commercial standpoint, we've learned a lot when it comes to that. But I think there's a definition barrier. Like people say, "Oh, I need to talk to like a developer." Well, it's one house in a neighborhood that's already built out. And it's going to be a scrape. That's not a developer, right? A developer is a vacant parcel or somebody who's buying a building or commercial and they're scraping it and starting over, right? So a lot of times there's the definition isn't always right. But And then for back to Colorado, to your question, and we also have a relationship with a couple, one or two commercial brokers that in the Denver market that in the past we built a pretty good relationship with. Neither one of those does residential, so it's kind of nice. We don't feel like we're ever gonna like lose business to them. They've helped us out a lot, and they've been really cool about allowing our agents to step side by side with them through the process to learn, as well.
Okay.
But definitely, I think. Now that I'm sitting here noodling on this, between my background, Andrew's, and yours, we probably maybe when we do your business plan for 26, we probably want to put a commercial component into that, and have a spinning plate for you for revenue over there, along with your fix and flip, along with your regular residential retail.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I'm one of those people that if it can happen via very good, it happens to me, good or bad, okay? But things come up.
Yeah. Well, Danette, man, what fun! I want to stay true to our promise to you, 30 minutes. So I'm really glad we were able to coordinate this. I know you were so busy, and it's been so nice talking with you and getting a few ideas. I know I can see Andrew over there; his wheels are turning. So I guess, guys, let's leave everybody with if you're looking for a brokerage, contact Andrew. We are growing our team, right? We're a small team there in Denver, and we're small but mighty, and we'd love to have a conversation, with you. And again, you can work with an amazing agent just like Danette. So, all right, everybody, have an amazing weekend. Bye.
Bye.